Here's Nancy in Pinehurst, North Carolina. Great to have you on the Rush Limbaugh program. Hi.
Greetings, Rush. I've listened to you probably since the late 90s, and all your sayings kind of stick in my head. I've heard you say things over and over through the years. Like one of them especially is once a liberal, always a liberal. The other one is conservatism will always win. I don't know why that's not happening this year. We've got a guy, I mean, wouldn't it be great if someone who raises their hand and swears to defend the Constitution of the United States would actually do it? I mean, guys like Ted Cruz just don't walk in the door every day.
Right, I know. I think, I have said conservatism always wins. One of the things I've really said is that conservatism works every time it's tried. And we are not there. But there's evidence today you ought to take a look at the news coming out of Ireland. Ireland has gone almost total conservative. Denmark is dialing back on its liberalism. Ireland's got 8% economic growth. They have reduced government regulation. They've lowered taxes. They've implemented the recipe, and they're rebounding like crazy. And we will too, if anything like that ever happens here. And by the way, all of Washington knows it. Washington is not interested in conservatism working because conservatism, by definition, requires a de-emphasized role of government in people's lives. And nobody in Washington wants a government getting smaller. They don't want it becoming less consequential. In the case of this campaign, I think a lot of people supporting Trump think he's a conservative, not doctrinaire, ideological conservative, but they don't think he's a liberal Democrat, despite what Cruz has elucidated about Trump's donations and so forth. Forget all that. How does Trump make people feel? What does he sound like? He sounds like this guy. One of the hallmarks of conservatism is to call attention to failures of government. Trump does that. 90% of his speech is government failure. He's not a conservative when he talks about his fixes, but in terms of identifying the problem, he comes across to many people who are not doctrinaire ideological conservatives. That's another thing to remember, Nancy.
It's just a trust issue, Rush. You know, I mean, how do we know? We already know what Cruz is going to do because he's already done it. But we don't know what Trump is going to do. I mean, to me, the guy is a loose cannon. Yeah, I'm afraid of him. I just don't know.
I know, but here, look at. There's also this thing called a campaign. How many brilliant people do you know who don't have a likability factor? I mean, even in politics, I'm not talking about anybody particularly here, but it's my point. It's tough for anybody that is a professional politician steeped in the do's and don'ts of that business to stand up to Trump. Trump is a definition of a pure outsider in terms of form and so forth. And Trump doesn't have a prompter. He doesn't do speeches. There's no stump speech. He's got themes he repeats, but every speech is different. Every appearance is different. You never know what you're going to get. Therefore, it's exciting. It's unpredictable. Nothing is the same. Every other politician, it is predictable. You know what they're going to say. You know what they're not going to say. You know when they're going to play it safe. It's a tough thing to compete against. But then even so, Nancy, the point is I was making earlier, even with all this, in all these primaries, there were more people not voting for Trump than voting for him.
Yes. It's a shame that, Rubio and Kasich didn't get out before this last Tuesday. I mean, I like both those people. Rubio's a fine man. I don't know whether Cruz would have picked up any more support.
Well, let me ask you this, because this is a good test question. Rubio, I think, is a fantastic conservative. I think that speech he gave getting out on Tuesday night was the best speech I've heard in a year. However, let's say Rubio decided that he wanted to officially, big time, make it a daily thing, throw in with Cruz. How many Cruz supporters would you think would say, no, Gang of Eight, he's going to hurt us. He's not a real conservative. Keep him away. How many do you think would say that?
I don't know. Probably more than I would like.
Right,
I wouldn't be one of them.
Exactly. The doctrinaires, whoa, no, this guy, he's not a real conservative. He was with he was with Schumer. We can't have, he's going to taint Cruz by association. We can't have that. There'd be some that would say it. I don't know how many, but some would. And then you say, well, where's the unity exactly?
Yeah, well, I think he'd be an excellent VP pick. I think he and Cruz, and I think if he was with Cruz for 4 years or 8 years or whatever, I think he would, be the next president.
Okay, standard political thinking. You think he'd be a good VP, but the problem is, he's Florida. He hadn't won anything. He's won one election. He's won some local elections to get elected senator.
Yes.
But in the national race, there would be some questions about whether he could help Cruz carry Florida, for example. In the traditional way people look at this, and they're up against the unconventional here, and I think that's what it's going to take to beat it. You have to think outside the box, do outside the box, because that's where Trump is. The aggressor sets the rules in any conflict. I don't think anybody knows what to do with him. I don't think anybody knows how to deal with it, because I don't think anybody fully understands what's going on. Which takes me to J-Pod. Nancy, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I was not being in disagreement or argumentative. I was merely posing questions that I think others would ask and getting your take on them.